All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, man. Look at this title here. Bands and musicians who called it quits in 2023. I'm not sure if I knew anybody that's not playing anymore. No name comes to my mind. But we're going to check this out. We are back on the Grunge channel. I'll leave the link to their channel in the description so you guys can check out more videos, man. Let's see who's on this list. Let's see who is done. Are they done? Are they going to be behind the scenes? Let's see. We ain't going to waste no more time. Shout out to all the good humans. Let's jump right into it.
From iconic classic rockers to innovative punks to a former child star's experimental project, these are the musical artists who have announced in 2023 that they've retired, or that they'll be hanging up their instruments for good in the very near future.
Man.
Fleetwood Mac formed in the late 1960s as an electric blues band. In the following decade, after some lineup changes, the band reinvented itself as a soft rock juggernaut, particularly with the additions of vocalist Stevie Nicks and guitarist Lindsey Buckingham. In the 70s and 80s, Fleetwood Mac blew up into one of the biggest bands on earth, thanks especially to their smash hit album Rumors. They went on to release several more albums and eventually became one of the most popular classic rock acts of all time. After their 1998 tour, vocalist Christine McVie bowed out of the band, though she would rejoin in 2014. Sadly, though, in November 2022, McVie suffered a fatal stroke at the age of 79.
Man.
Fleetwood Mac hadn't played together at that point since 2019, and McVie's death put any speculation about any more band activities to rest. As Stevie Nicks told Vulture, "We really can't go any further with this. There's no reason to."
Yeah.
Elton John consistently churned out classic hits throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, including Tiny Dancer, Rocket Man, and Candle in the Wind. In the process, he proved that the piano could absolutely be an effective rock and roll instrument. Over the course of his career, he's won 5 Grammys, 2 Oscars, and a Tony. John is a kind of legacy rock act who can still reliably fill a stadium, and has consistently done so for decades. When he finally decided to stop touring, it took him 5 years to meet audience demand. In July 2023, his 330-date, $900 million plus grossing Farewell Yellow Brick Road series of shows wrapped up with a concert in Stockholm, Sweden. While John won't hit the stage much anymore, he may still have another album in him. In 2023, he and his longtime writing partner Bernie Taupin both announced that a new collection was in the works. With nearly 70 million records sold across their decades-long career in this country alone, Aerosmith trails only the Eagles on the list of most commercially successful American bands of all
I didn't know they were still going. Honestly.
time. With lead singer Steven Tyler and guitarist Joe Perry leading the way, Aerosmith have consistently endured while never really changing their sound. The Boston band created just as many memorable hits in the 70s as they did in the 80s and 90s.
Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Aerosmith.
Following a big tour in 2015 and a Las Vegas residency, Aerosmith told the world in May 2023 that they would be winding down soon. The 40-show Peace Out tour was set to run from September 2023 to January 2024. But after Tyler strained his vocal cords so severely that he suffered a larynx fracture, future dates were postponed. After Tyler was medically barred from singing for 30 days, the last ever Aerosmith show was scheduled to happen in Cleveland on February 29, 2024. With their story-like songs, jangly guitars, and exquisite harmonies, the Eagles racked up dozens of hits and sold millions of albums. Despite the laid-back nature of their tunes, tensions often ran high among the band members. Don Felder and Glenn Frey even threatened to beat each other up on stage at what seemed like their last concert in 1980. And Frey and the rest of the band recorded the 1979 album The Long Run in separate studios on opposite coasts. Despite all their rancor, the Eagles reunited in 1994 with the live album Hell Freezes Over. The reconstituted band then released the studio album Long Road Out of Eden in 2007. They also toured regularly, even after Frey's 2016 death, with the addition of country star Vince Gill. In 2023, they hit the road for the Hotel California 2023 tour, in which they played the Hotel California album all the way through. That series of dates gave way to their farewell tour called The Long Goodbye. They originally scheduled a 13-date series of concerts for late 2023, though they've since extended the tour a few times. Kiss is just as famous for their fire-filled live shows, fake blood, makeup, and giant boots as they are for their music. They went on to...
So is it like they be performing at like random places and now they like done it? Because I didn't even know they were still performing. I didn't. But I remember we went to, a while back, we went to Palm Springs and, who was that? Some band was going to be playing there. So they're saying like, even like stuff like that, even if it's like something that's more intimate and small, like they done. I mean, these brothers, they ain't young no more, man. It takes a lot to get up there and, perform. It's not about it's about the performance, man, the getting ready and stuff. I get it. I understand. But the music gonna live on.
Supposed farewell tour starting in 2000, but then they kept on going. Now, their second farewell tour really supposedly truly is the end of the road, as the iconic glam rockers have decided to wrap it up after 50 years. It's been a long goodbye.
50?
The end of the road tour began in January 2019, with their shows in 2020 delayed until 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2022, Kiss added about 100 more dates, extending the tour into 2023. The last chunk kicked off with a show in Austin on October 29th and concluded with 2 big concerts in the band's hometown of New York City in early December 2023. As the band put it in a statement, "It will be a privilege and honor to finish touring at Madison Square Garden, 10 blocks and 50 years from where we first started."
I think we've transcended over the years being human beings, and here we are becoming immortal.
Devo rose to fame with their unique blend of synthesizer-driven new wave that spoke to their central thesis. Humanity wasn't evolving, but rather rapidly de-evolving, hence their name. They've only ever had a single top 40 hit, the iconic Whip It. But they're also beloved for all the other songs they've recorded, including covers of classics like Working in the Coal Mine and Satisfaction. And they're also famous for their unmistakable yellow jumpsuits and hats called energy domes. After forming in 1972, Devo never split up, and they've instead just kept on experimenting. Frontman Mark Mothersbaugh also became a prolific composer for TV, film, and video games. And in 2006, Devo's members replaced themselves with a group of children for a Disney project called Devo 2.0. They haven't released a studio album since 2010, and they've begun tiring of life on the road as the members reach their 70s, so they decided to stop performing. Their 2023 Celebrating 50 Years of De-Evolution tour will be their final road trip. As Mothersbaugh told The Guardian, "It's tricky being in a band. I'm looking forward to 2073. We'll play 100th anniversary Devo shows and then maybe retire." Kenny Loggins has been kicking around the music industry for more than 50 years. In 1970, he wrote songs for a nitty-gritty dirt band album, and shortly thereafter formed the folk rock duo Loggins and Messina alongside Jim Messina. By the end of that decade, he was known for releasing shiny, ultra-produced yacht rock. He co-wrote the Doobie Brothers' What a Fool Believes and scored soft rock hits of his own with This Is It and Whenever I Call You Friend. In the 1980s, he was a king of the soundtrack single, recording smashes for such movies as Caddyshack, Footloose, and Top Gun. Loggins toured throughout the 21st century, though he hasn't released a solo album since 2009. In 2023, he announced that he would be wrapping up the live performance part of his career. As he put it in a statement, "It's been an amazing journey since starting with Jimmy Messina in 1971, and I'm fortunate to have had such a long touring career. I don't see this as the end of my professional career, but certainly a halt to the grind of major touring."
Yeah.
Kenny Loggins, thank you for your music through the years, the joy and the fun it's brought us all.
Brendan Urie started Panic at the Disco back in 2004. Their moody sensibilities and introspective lyrics tapped right into the pop-punk zeitgeist of the era. They broke through in a big way with their signature song, I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. Other smashes would soon follow, including 9 in the Afternoon and High Hopes, the latter of which spent a record-breaking 65 weeks atop Billboard's Hot Rock Songs chart. Through it all, members slowly but steadily departed. The 2013 album Too Weird to Live, Too Rare to Die was the last to feature any of the band's original lineup besides Urie. In a January 2023 post on Panic at the Disco's Instagram, he announced that his wife Sarah was pregnant and also revealed, "The prospect of being a father and getting to watch my wife become a mother is both humbling and exciting. I look forward to this next adventure. That said, I'm going to bring this chapter of my life to an end and put my focus and energy on my family. And with that, Panic at the Disco will be no more."
Dang.
Candlebox's night.
He's pretty young still, right? I feel like they'll make a comeback. That's what I feel like. Yeah.
1993 self-titled debut album yielded 3 big rock radio hits, You, Cover Me, and Far Behind, the latter of which crossed over to the top 20 of the Billboard pop chart. The grunge styles of the era eventually fell out of favor, but the Seattle-based band continued to record albums and perform well on rock radio stations. Candlebox stuck around for more than 3 decades, and they celebrated with a 2023 tour commemorating the anniversary of their first LP. And as it turns out, 31 years is plenty for band founder and frontman Kevin Martin. In 2022, he told Long Island radio station WWSK that he would retire his band after their 2023 tour, although they have added dates into early 2024. As he explained, I think every kid wants to have that opportunity and a career that lasts decades, and I'm very grateful that it has. But there comes a time where my responsibilities as a husband and a father supersede my responsibilities to the music that I
Smart
make,
man.
and that's kind of where I'm at.
I enjoy it, but it's not the love of my life anymore.
The Grateful Dead were a hippie rock jam band that kept alive a countercultural spirit to the late 60s. They spawned a subculture and a self-contained economy kept alive by their passionate following of Deadheads. Simply put, they were more than just a band, and even when frontman Jerry Garcia died at age 53 in 1995, the operation was so important to so many people that it just kept on trucking. The other band members continued to play together in various permutations, and after recruiting John Mayer into the fold, they formed Dead & Company. The supergroup would go on to play hundreds of shows over the course of nearly a decade, but it looks like it may finally be coming to an end. In October 2022, Mayer announced on Instagram that Dead & Company's upcoming summer 2023 tour would be its last. Foreigner ruled rock radio in the late 70s and early.
So he's saying his last, or is it the band's last? Or are they going to find someone else? What y'all think? What y'all think? Is Billy Strings going to come in? Comment below, please.
Early 80s. Led by the soaring voice of Lou Gramm and the hooky guitar riffs of Mick Jones, they churned out a string of arena anthems like Urgent, Jukebox Hero, and Cold as Ice. They also scaled the pop charts with tender power ballads like Waiting for a Girl Like You and I Want to Know What Love Is. Gramm departed Foreigner for a solo career in 1990. Then he returned in 1992, left again in 2003, and ultimately came back, touring with the band well into the new century and releasing a live album in 2018. After Mick Jones underwent heart surgery in 2012, he declared himself a part-time member of Foreigner. He would still occasionally join his bandmates on stage, health permitting. However, in late 2022, Foreigner announced that they had a final tour planned for 2023. As Jones noted to Billboard, by the end of our farewell tour, over 50 years will have passed, and that's a long time to be on the road.
It's not like the old days you have to. These days, we know better.
Mr. Big's members include technical-minded musicians who had already had some musical success before they came together.
Big.
Billy Sheehan previously played bass for David Lee Roth, guitarist Paul Gilbert had been in Racer X, and singer Eric Martin had a mid-'80s solo career. Their 1989 self-titled debut sold poorly in the US, but it was a smash hit in Japan. The group enjoyed a few more minor hits and released more than a dozen albums well into the 2010s, many of them just for its fans in Japan. Gilbert left Mr. Big in 1999, and then the whole band split up in 2002, but then reunited in 2009. Then, in 2018, they weathered the death of drummer Pat Torkin. Shortly thereafter, the band took an extended break, which officially became a retirement in March 2023, though they do have tour dates planned into 2024. As Sheehan revealed in a statement, "We wanted to do a proper farewell, and this seems like the right way to do it." Punk rockers NoFX have been operating on the fringes of the rock mainstream since the early 80s. Led by comical frontman Fat Mike, they made records full of short, frenetic songs filled with politics, plenty of humor, and a pop sensibility. After years on the label Epitaph Records, NoFX joined Fat Wreck Chords, co-created by Fat Mike for his own band. It would also later release projects for other major punk acts like Rancid, Against Me, and Descendants. In 2021, NoFX released its 14th studio album, entitled Single Album. Then, in September 2022, Fat Mike revealed that the band would break up in 2023, though they do have tour dates scheduled through much of 2024. As Fat Mike wrote on Instagram, "It's been an amazing run." Sum 41 began when a group of teenagers got together in 1996 and decided to become a NoFX cover band. But before long, they were performing original material, and in 1999, they landed a contract with Island Records. They soon hit it big, topping the alternative rock chart with their signature song Fat Lip, and getting plenty of airplay for subsequent singles like In Too Deep and We're All to Blame. In May 2023, Derek Whibley, the sole founding member left in Sum 41, announced that their upcoming studio album would be their last. That LP was later shelved for a 2024 release. As the band revealed on social media in May 2023, Sum 41 will be disbanding. We will still be finishing all of our current upcoming tour dates this year.
Life experience will sort of dictate your sort of view of existence.
Hey.
In 1983,
Big
Kix scored a
facts.
minor hit with their song Body Talk, one of the first notable releases in a movement that would come to be known as hair metal or glam metal. The band members dutifully wore tight pants and teased out their hair as they played catchy, wailing, guitar-driven jams like Girl Money and plaintive power ballads like Don't Close Your Eyes. Alas, hair metal died out as a major commercial force in the early 90s, and Kix split up, though not forever. They reunited with some new members replacing the original ones in the 2000s. They also embarked on regular tours and recorded a couple of new albums. Only in 2023 did they eventually decide to finally and officially close it all down. That May, frontman Steve Whiteman announced during a concert at the M3 Festival in Columbia, Maryland, that their scheduled show for September 17th, featuring a reunion of the classic Kicks lineup, would be their last. Alabama-based sibling act The Band Perry formed in 2005, creating a unique blend of both traditional and pop country sounds along with some traces of rock and roll. Their self-titled 2010 debut went platinum in the US, reached number 2 on the country album chart, and generated mega-hit singles If I Die Young, You Lie, and Postcard from Paris. Just after the cycle for that record ended, they released their follow-up Pioneer in 2013, a chart topper that spawned 4 hit singles. But then they went on a long stretch of inactivity. As of 2023, they haven't released a full-length album since Pioneer, or a standalone single since 2019. What was obvious became official on March 27, 2023, as the Perry siblings co-signed a letter on their band's Instagram announcing that the group had split up, at least for the foreseeable future. As they put it, "We wanted to let you know that the 3 of us have decided to take a creative break as a group and each focus on our individual creative pursuits. During this season, we will continue to support each other as artists and family in all we do."
I think the genesis of it was really about creating space to live life and make sure that we hadn't left too much on the table for ourselves.
Former child actor Bill Mumy is best known for his role as Will Robinson on the original 1960s Lost in Space, as well as a few episodes on the original run of The Twilight Zone. He would only act on occasion since then, as he instead devoted a lot of time to his experimental comedy band, Barnes and Barnes. In 1970, a teenage Mumy teamed up with his childhood friend, multi-instrumentalist Robert Hamer, to make weird and silly music to entertain themselves. Then they decided to release it to the public after they got some airplay on the nationally syndicated comedy music show The Dr. Demento Show. The surreal low-budget video for their song Fishheads aired on both Saturday Night Live and MTV. It would become their best-known track during their time as a duo, during which they went by the jokey stage names Art Barnes and Artie Barnes. Barnes and Barnes would eventually record several full-length albums. Then, in March 2023, Mumy announced that the band's time was essentially over due to Hamer's passing. As he wrote on Facebook, "Sometimes there was dissonance and silence, and sometimes we made a mighty raucous roar together. I will miss making that unique Barnes music very much." Anti-Flag never sold the most records, and that was partly by design. Formed in Pittsburgh in 1988, they were a loud, aggressive punk band that sat on the far left of the political spectrum, as their songs called out corrupt governments, police brutality, and economic oppression. They earned a cult following and toured with like-minded acts like Rage Against the Machine and NoFX. Then in July 2023, a post on Anti-Flag's Patreon page read, "Anti-Flag has disbanded. No reason."
Life, man. Life comes at you fast. They always talk about Father Time is not undefeated. You know, you could get out mentally, you could want to do it. Like for me, like I've been playing a lot of basketball lately at the gym on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And mentally, I feel like I can go out there and do whatever I want. But sometimes my body, or I should say most of the time, my body just don't respond. You know, you're just not as young as you thought you were. I mean, in sports-wise, like me being 43, that's old. That is old, you know. But like these guys, like a lot of them still can sing. Like they still sound good. But it's a lot, man. It's not like you think of somebody just wake up and just go on a tour. It's a lot, man. It is a lot. The traveling, all that stuff can be very, very exhausting. Very, very exhausting. And they ain't even driving or flying. Like they flying everywhere, you know, or being driven, whatever the case may be. It still can be exhausting, man, to get up there. And you got to understand, like, you don't want to just perform. You want to get up there and make memorable moments for your fan base. So if you feel like you can't do that anymore at a high level, hey. And, you know, shout out to the ones who are thinking of their family first. Shout out to them, you know, because, you know, this what they do is how they provide. But a lot of them have made so much money already, like, they don't even need to perform. They were doing it just for the love of it. But like you have a child and they're like, oh my God, everything else is secondary, you know? Comment below who you the most saddest to see not perform anymore. It could be a few. What's the most shocking one? And who you didn't even know was still performing. All right. Again, appreciate y'all coming over and watching, man. Peace out.